Hello, welcome. It's Ashley. Thank you for clicking on my video. This video it's a tutorial on how to make these cute bead slippers. So that much being said, let's get into it. You're going to need a T-shaped slippers. It's a 5mm beads. I'm using two colors, which is yellow and then black, but you can also use 6mm beads. You're going to need a plier, pair of scissors, thread and needle. I'm using a 0.3 thread, and then you're going to need a blade. So that's all you're going to need. So line up your needle. Make it as long as you want, as long as you're comfortable with it. If it's too long, mostly it gets tangled up, but then if it's too short, it means you have to be joining it all the time. So with this start, you're going to start with 2 of each color bead. So 2 yellow, 2 black. It doesn't matter which one you start with, just start with 2 of them of each color. So you're going to pass your needle through a couple of beads to hide the knots you just made by tying the thread. So you pass it through a couple of beads, pull hard to make sure your knot is hidden, and then you pick a blade and cut off your excess thread. Whilst cutting off the thread, make sure you hold it down on the bead so that when you cut, there's nothing left to be seen. Everything left will be hidden under the bead. So the thread it's at the on the black side, sorry. So I'll start with 2 yellows and then 1 black. Send the needle up, and then it appears on a yellow bead. So that means 1 yellow and then 2 blacks. That's how it's going to be. 1 of each color, 2. 1 from this color, 2 from this color, 1 from this color, 2 from this color. That's how we're going to continue. Since from now, instead of 4, we're going to be going 3, 3, 3. We're going to need 21 of them for the slippers that I'm using. That's a size 10, which is 38, 39. So you need 21 in a row. So the trick here is, if it ends on yellow, that means on the other one I'm starting with 1 yellow and then 2 blacks. 2 blacks. That way when you pass it through the bead up, the yellow, you get 3 of it. See? But then if it starts with black, you're going to need 2 yellow, 1 black. You just have to make sure that the where the bead will be passing through, sorry, it's from yellow here, but then if it's going back through yellow. So we'll start with yellow and then 2 black, and then we'll pass it through, and it goes all the way up. So yellow and then black, because what is passing through is black. So I don't know, explaining this is getting harder than I thought it would. But if you could just watch the pattern, you'll figure it out, I'm sure. So here the thread, it's in black. Sorry. So put 2 yellows and then 1 black. Sorry, since we've gotten to 22 we have to start sideways. So 1 black and then 2 yellows. There you go. And from now we'll be adding 2 instead of 3. So it's ended in a yellow, a black. So we'll start with black and then yellow. This side is quite simple actually. Where the color the needle ends in, that's the color you start with. So it's ended in a black, so we started with black and then yellow. I don't know if you get it. So this side is going to go that way for a while. Black, yellow, black, yellow. Because mostly it ends in a black. And then the color it ends with, that's the color you start with. So it ended in a black. Start with black, yellow. It's not all the time it's going to end in black, so take note. Just keep in mind that the color the thread ends in, that's the color you start on with. It's not all the time it's going to be black. So now it ends in yellow, so we're starting with yellow. Yellow, black. Sorry, long thread, tangling up. So when you're cutting your thread, cut it as long and as you'll be comfortable with. If not, it will worry you. It will keep tangling up. And if you don't know how to untangle it, it means you have to cut and restart all over again. It's really not easy when it does that. But it takes time to untangle. Patience, you just untangle it. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and then click the like button for me. If there's anything I'm not doing right, please let me know. I promise I'll fix it. And if there's a tutorial on something on bead making you want me to do for you, just let me know, I'll do it. Not just bead making, wig. I have crochet tutorials coming up soon, wig making tutorials too. There's going to be a lot of tutorials and fun things together, so please click the subscribe button so that you don't miss it when I post them. Also, let me know in the comments section if you would like me to make videos on bead decoratives, like a beaded bottle. I have one cute one in my room and I can't imagine someone not having one. So if you want me to make a tutorial on that, please let me know. Okay, getting to the end. Yellow, black. Okay, so sideways again. So we're going to start with 3. So since the other side went with one color from one bead from each color, what was I saying? Sorry. Since the other row started with one bead from each color, this row is going to start with, this row is going to continue with 2 beads from each color. Not making sense, am I? So here, if the thread ends in a yellow, that means you'll be putting 2 blacks and then passing it through. If it ends in a black, you'll be putting 2 yellows. So that's it. You'll be putting the opposite of where the color the thread ends in. So it ends in black, we put 2 yellows. It ends in yellow, we put 2 blacks, and then we just continue that way. We're just doing 3 rows. So this is the last row, actually. So my thread got finished. I have to join it now. Always make sure that when you make your knot, you pull very hard to make sure your knot is really tight, and then you pass it through a couple of beads to hide the knot you made. Before you send it all the way to where your working ended. So you just continue same process till you get to the end. That's the last row, so we won't be doing any much. We're just going to continue the same process till the end. So 2 of each color. So continue same process so you get to the end, and then since this is the last row, when you get to the end, you pass your needle through a couple of beads, make a knot, pass it through a couple of beads, hide your knot, and then cut off the excess thread. And voila, we're done. So now we have to stitch it up on our T-shaped slippers. If you don't know how to make these T-shaped slippers, I made a short video on how to cut and make a T-shaped slippers. It's very easy to make. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes to make that. So, and then there are slippers that are also just T-shaped like that, so you could just buy them, maybe, or you can just make your own. So you pass a needle through a couple of couple of beads and send it all the way to the middle row at the end, middle bead. See? And then you'll be stitching along the side all middle beads. So all your stitches are going to be done on the middle bead lane. So stitch down from one side of the middle bead and then stitch up. Sorry, I didn't know my camera placement was like this. So stitch up to the other side of that same bead. Pass the needle through that same bead and then you send it all the way to the next middle bead. So you pass it through and send it all the way to the next bead. I'm so sorry. And then you stitch it down at the side of that middle bead. Stitch it back up at the other side of that same middle bead and then you pass it through it and then send it to the next middle bead. So the stitching is just that process. You can stitch it anyhow you want, but I stitch it through the middle bead so that I know that both sides are even, because the middle bead is on the slippers, so the other half is in front and the other half is behind, so it's even and leveled. Stitching on camera really is hard. I'm not used to working on a table, so I'm still trying to get used to it, but it's still not easy. So I'm just going to go stitch this off camera. So it's just the same process, so you could just stitch along. Just stitching the middle beads all the way down to the other side of the slippers. So you get to the end of the bead, really. So stitch it up. And then you have to be extra careful. The needle could prick you or you could break your needle. I like using an ultra thin needle when I'm stitching up because the point is very sharp. So you put it on the slippers and then you're able to prick it very easily. But it also means that the needle is not hard, so you put too much pressure on it and it breaks. So you stitch it up. I went and did some small stitching off camera because stitching on camera really is hard. But like I said, it's the same process. You just stitch in between middle beads. have to join a thread because mine got really short. Passing it through beads, making a knot far away from where I'm working, and then I'll have to pass it through a couple of beads to get to where I'm working. My working ended. Just to make sure it's really secure. You don't start from where your working ended when you're joining a bead. A couple of beads away from where it ended, then you join it there and then bring it down, making sure that it's really secure. So I used these colors because that's what my customer wanted, but you can use any other color you want. You can even use a single color if you want to. It doesn't really matter. These were the colors my customer wanted. That is why I used these colors. So you stitch all the way to the last middle bead and then stitch that too. You don't leave any out. Stitch through all middle beads. And done. So now we'll pass it through a couple of beads away from where we ended. Then we'll make a knot, tie a knot, and then pass it through a couple of beads to hide the knot, and then we'll cut off the excess thread. I will have done the whole stitching off camera, but because of this side that we're not done yet, that is why. So this side, now this side you start working with the middle bead, the bead that appears on the slippers. We're going to be working with 3 closest beads, but you start working with the middle one. So you put your needle, your thread from a few beads away from it, and then pass it through to get there. And then we're going to start the process we started with. How do I say it? We're going to start with 3 beads each. So it's ended with black, so that means we'll be starting with yellow. So since the bead is black, we'll start with 3 yellows and pass it through that same bead. So we're going to be working along that bead. And then since this is yellow, the next color should be black, and then yellow, black, 3, yellow, 3, black, 3, yellow, 3, black, till you get to the end. Hold up thread. Three yellows. Three blacks. Three yellows. So you're going to continue the same process until you get to the end. of the, what do I call that? I don't know. The head of the slippers, maybe. I'm just going to keep quiet and then you just watch through it. Now make sure your last one actually covers where you made a cut. With the T-shaped slippers, you have to cut and rejoin. Where you made a cut, make sure it's covered, it doesn't show. Make sure the bead covers it. And then you start stitching from there. Also, remember you stitch along the middle bead, so along and in the middle bead. So stitch down from one side of the middle bead, stitch up to the other side of the same middle bead, and then you pass it through the middle bead again. Sorry, really sorry, I didn't know my camera couldn't show from this angle. So basically you just stitch along middle beads like we did the other side. You pass it through the middle bead, get to the other middle bead, and then you stitch it down alongside. So that is it. Okay, so this is what I did and that wasn't showing. You just stitch and then pass it through middle beads, stitch to the other side of the middle bead again, pass it through the same middle bead, and then all the way to the next middle bead. And this is the last one. This is where we started, so that's going to be the last stitch. Now you're going to pass the needle to the next. I told you we'll be working alongside the closest 3 beads to the slippers tail. So the next one, and then you're going to put 2 beads. The color that was yellow, so we start with yellow and black. Oh, sorry. Bring it down, and then we're going to be continuing the process like we did the first part beading. So it ends in blacks, so we're going to put 2 blacks. So this ends in yellow, so 2 blacks, pass it through, up, down. So it ends, the next one ends in black. Sorry, yeah. So we'll put 2 yellows. Then the next one is going to end in yellow, so we'll put 2 blacks like that. So you just follow the same pattern all the way down. So basically it's the same pattern all the way down. Then when you get to the last one, you pass your needle through a couple of beads and send it to the other side of the slippers. And now when you get there, you can either make a knot and cut off your excess thread and get to the top and start again with 2 of a different color, 2 beads from each color. Or you can just continue from the down, but not with 2 beads from each color. It's going to be 1 bead from each color, 1 bead from each color. So when you continue from the down like this, instead of 2 beads from each color, as it has ended in black, you would have been continuing with 2 yellows. But since we are just continuing from the down, you'll be continuing with 1 black, 1 yellow. So it's going to be like that: 1 black, 1 yellow, 1 yellow, 1 black, 1 black, 1 yellow, all the way up. But if you had cut off your thread and start from the top again, you still will have been putting 2 from each color. So this is the pattern we're trying to make. And then when you get to the last pattern, instead of 2, you're going to need to add just 1 bead. And then you join that up. Pass your needle through a couple of beads, make a knot. Pass it through a couple of beads to hide your knot, cut off your excess thread, and we're done. Thank you so much for watching, even though it's not the best of videos. I appreciate it. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and then like. Thank you.